Hey everyone, Brandon, Southern Style Off-Road. So you just got your sliders in for your Tacoma. We're going to go over the installation, how everything's oriented, what tools you need, and the basic principle of just getting them up there and installed. Tools you'll need, 14 millimeter ratcheting wrench or regular wrench, a 3/8 drive or quarter inch, probably 3/8 or half inch would work well here. 14 millimeter socket, a 12 millimeter socket, and a 10 millimeter socket. Also an extension for that 3/8 or half inch drive. To break the pieces apart, the backing plates, you will need some pliers, channel locks, something like that. You can also do it with a hammer, depending on if you got a powder coater or if you're painting yourself. So let's get started. You'll get these plates. If you got a powder coater or not, they're going to be how they are, painted or not. So what you're going to do, take your pliers, channel locks, basically move this back and forth, each piece, until they come off. Just like that. Some are easier than others. Set them to the side. And this is one single piece. Don't try to break these out or anything. They need to be like that so they can flex in and out of the frame. But this is a single piece. As far as these little birds go and stuff, you can knock them off with like a hammer or take your pliers and just wiggle them off. If they are powder coated, you might want to run just a little bit of touch-up paint or something, just to keep these tiny little areas covered from rust in the future. But so that is the driver's side. We'll have that all labeled for you. Which side's which, how it's oriented, and how they go actually behind the frame to sandwich the frame and the slider. So now that we got that done, we'll go ahead and start mocking up the sliders, getting them where we need, taking stuff off the frame, unbolting stuff off the frame that we need unbolted. It helps to have a friend to do this. I've done it plenty of times by myself, but having a friend definitely helps. I know you're probably not gonna have a lift like this. If you do, it's a lot easier. You're probably on the ground, using your legs and stuff like that, and your knee and your head. We'll get started and show you how to get all the stuff off the frame. All right, you will have this bracket that comes with your sliders. This is orientated with this towards the outside of the frame, driver's side, or this would be on the driver's side, front of the vehicle going that way. This will be orientated like this. So keep that bracket, and then with the hardware, there'll be two holes right here, which your 3/8 bolts will go into. This is part of this. This will actually go right there. So take all the pieces that we broke off earlier. We're going to take them and kind of lay them out in order from front to back. So this piece is obviously right there. That'll be the very front bolts, 2 bolts. This piece will be this piece, the more rectangular piece. These little pieces right here, they kind of have a beveled edge on the square. Those will obviously go right there. A nice square piece right there, another beveled edge right there, and then the last one is another square piece. So get them laid out, and then each plate will have a 3/8 by 16 bolt that will go with it. So make sure you have all those, and let's get started on getting the sliders up. Okay, so now we are going to start with putting the pieces together front to back of the vehicle. The first 2 pieces you're going to need is this bracket right here with the 2 holes and this soldered hole and this rectangular square piece. First thing you're going to do, this hole right here, I'm not too sure. I don't think it has a little plastic piece in it, so you'll have this hole here. Put this little rectangular piece in there, kind of throw it down in there, not too far, but throw it in there, and you can see how you can move it around with these there's 2 holes on the side, and you can kind of get to it, move it around. Anyways, you can kind of leave it loosely in there. Take this piece, these 2 holes, go up on this leg right here, on the threaded holes in it. So loosely put these 3/8 bolts into those. All right, now that you got this bracket hung, you can come over here and kind of manipulate this rectangular piece inside this cross member. Put this bracket up against this cross member, find the hole, hold your finger on it, and you can thread this bolt in. All right, so take this with the handle going down, kind of fish it in there. That's why you want this loose, so you can get it in there. And it's gonna go in. Whenever you get it in, you can come on the other side. Helps to have a light, of course, to see the holes and everything. This is the most trickiest part, I will say. Fish it in there. Once you get one of the bolt holes lined up, the other one, you don't have to hold it anymore. The other one will you can kind of fish around and move it up and down to get it in there. So we got the back one first. And now we can get the front one in. There it is. There we go. All right, and you can keep those loose as well. The next step will be to take this electrical module off. I think it has something to do with, I don't know. Anyways, I know it's attached to the frame. You need to take it off for the slider. So there's 2 12mm bolts on the outside of the frame rail, or nuts, sorry. Undo those, obviously, before you get the slider on. It'll come out. And these are the nuts I'm talking about. Hold on to the nuts because you're going to reuse them. It's actually nuts to help hold the sliders on. Exposed after that will be another hole right in the middle of it. You are going to use this square plate right here. Not a rectangular one, a square one. Not the square one. It's actually the one with the different edge on it. There'll be a 3/8 bolt on the other side. Thread that in. You can leave this hanging and until you get everything on and everything. These little plastic clips, of course, if you need them to come out and everything, they will just easily either break or you can pinch the outside of them and they'll come off. The next bracket or plate we'll use is a rectangular one that'll go into this cross member. And thanks to our customers that helped us out with this, I guess the newer models, I want to say 2019 and up, do not have this hole in this cross member. So it's recommended for this bolt to be drilled out. This is a 3/8 bolt, so use like a 7/16 half-inch drill bit or so to drill out that hole. And then, it'll line up and everything. I would do that at the end if you do need a drill, just to get that bolt in there and that plate. And the next one will be this plate. It is it's also the more square with the offset edge on it on one side. That will be, you can see how it lines up and why we kind of offset it just to make it fit a little better. And also another thing we've learned is this brake line, it might come in contact with that bolt. Granted, with everything secured and stuff, it shouldn't cause a problem, but if you feel better about it, you can always grab it right at this corner and just bend it out of the way. So it's not making contact with that bolt all the time or anything like that. You won't have any issues or worry about having any issues with your brake lines. The next plate will be the bigger square plate. It is a little tricky to get to, but it's really not that bad. It is behind this gas tank, or on the side of the gas tank on the frame rail. It is the very far hole in the back, and you will need a 14mm ratchet wrench or box wrench just to get to it on this side of the frame rail, because this slider leg kind of gets in the way. Not a big deal, but just letting you know. Other than that, that's pretty much the driver's side. Obviously, everything should plug back up normally. Put those 12mm bolts back on. There is a brake, little bracket on this side. It's a little metal bracket holding this wire loom onto the outside of the frame rail. It's a 12mm bolt that will also plug right in as well. And then once you get all the bolts in, everything, if you need a drill drilled out, torque these bolts down to 45 foot-pounds. And then also another thing to add is we did put these pilot holes here in the bottom of the slider plate. They are pilot holes in case you do want to have another bolt in there, and we do include that with the hardware kit, a 3/8 by 16 bolt and nut. So you drill that out, a 1/2-inch drill bit, and there's two of them, one in the very back and one right here towards the front. If you want to do that, you can. From our experience, it is totally not necessary. We had this Tacoma propped up on a rock on the slider, very little deflection, didn't cause any issues with everything tightened down and everything. So it's up to you, peace of mind if you want to. But now let's move on to the passenger side. It's a little different. There is a piece you got to take off the frame. We'll go over that. But this is your passenger side plate that you'll, like we did earlier, we wiggle them around with some pliers or a hammer, whatever you need to do. Get these broken off. And this is the layout of the plates and how they go onto the frame. So you got your plate with 2 threaded holes, 2 square plates. The bigger plate with 4 threaded holes. This is the leg reinforcement for the front, same as the driver's side, and also same as the driver's side, this plate that you fish in there to get your bolts in that channel. So now we'll move on to the frame and what you need to do to get off the frame. There are these 2 10mm bolt heads on this plastic cover. You'll need to take those off. There's one down here and one up top closer to the cab. We'll get that off. Already loosened it. So once you get that off, put this cover to the side, save those 10mm bolts. This wiring harness and plug bracket, you'll need to take this off. These are 12mm bolt heads. Your extension will come in handy whenever you have to put this back on. That's why we include that with the instructions. So get you a 12mm ratchet, wrench, socket, whatever you need. Get these off. And you can kind of let this hang and stuff. The slider plate will go underneath it, and this will sandwich the slider frame plate. And you also reuse all these bolts and everything. So keep those handy and to the side. Also another 14mm bolt head with that cross member we'll take out. There you go. So now that the frame is ready for the sliders, we'll go ahead and do that. As far as this bracket goes, this is the same exact as the driver's side. These 2 bolts and also this plate that goes inside here with these holes, line it up. This little guy with the handle and the 2 bolts that go in on each side of the leg on this side. So here you got the bracket, those 2 bolts that with the handle plate. Next we move on to these 4 just past the second leg. They are a one-hole plate on this back side, and this is how the plate lines up. You have two in the front, two in the back. This slanted section goes down, and it goes like that. Everything should line up just fine. The next one will be, looks like, another square plate, and it is on that cross member. And the same thing goes for this side as the driver's side. With the newer models, I believe you will have to drill out a 1/2-inch drill bit, same thing. And then of course this bolt will always be your first bolt on each side. Sorry if I didn't mention that earlier. This will hold up the slider once you get it on there. This is always the first bolt I put on, just to get everything set, lined up. Of course, these rivet holes will kind of keep everything centered where it needs to be, all that good stuff. The next plate will be the smaller plate with the 2 holes in it. As you can see, it is kind of shaped to how it should go on the inside of the frame rail. The 2 3/8 bolts in that one. The last and final plate on this side is a bigger square one, and it is the last bolt on the passenger side, and that one requires a box wrench or a ratcheting 14mm wrench, as well as the pilot holes. We have those if you want to drill holes in them with the included hardware we provide. This one has 2 as well, one back there and one right here. And then this bracket will line up perfectly how it should, how it was on the frame, with your 12mm bolts. Easily just put them back in, tighten them down, and then you got the passenger side done. As far as any other brackets or anything on this passenger side, it's not as involved as the driver's side. Very simple to do. The only thing is this electrical junction box obviously needs to come off, and then reinstall everything, torque everything to 45 foot-pounds torque, and you're ready to hit the trails. Thanks for watching.